Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready with game number 2. And hey, this time we actually got the draft properly this time by. And we already have the Kaisa getting picked up here for St. Clair and Samira and Rel for the side of Conestoga.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same bands inside of St. Clair as well. The only difference in bands is they're taking away Mansfo's Morgana. They really thought that was a huge threat against them, and in the end, if they're going to go for Kayla Morgana again, it's definitely not something you want to play Rel into with Samira. Looking like St. Clair's gonna go for that Oriana, picking up the early game. That or not early game, my mistake. The early mid lane pick here, not wanting it to go on to the hands of Q-Pain.
It's very weird seeing Frez actually have his pick locked in prior to the final slot. It seems like this entire season so far, he always had basically the counter pick privileges.
Ooh.
And it's been a long time, my friend. Old Skarner, my favorite jungler, showing up to come play here. But granted, he has had a rework since the last time I played him. So it's been a little while. But still, you don't get to see a Skarner every day.
Yeah, it looks like they're St. Clair. They're possibly trying to give Cooper that better matchup this time, not just giving him a little Shen say here, trying not die up in that top lane. But it's going to be the side of Conestoga. We're just zooming through this entire phase, drafting phase. They're going to ban away that Malphite from Kubra and the Nunu away from Active Force. And on the side of St. Clair, they're going to ban the Silas. Same four bans on the side of St. Clair's last time, but actually going to change it up and ban the Lucian. If I'm not mistaken, I could see that Q-Pain was a big Lucian player on that mid lane.
So the Katarina main with a side of Lucian, eh? An absolute aggressive.
Two different champions.
Yeah, it's completely two different styles, but at the same time, it's still aggression. So we're going to try and shut down Q-Pain just a little bit more here as we look for the next pick. Camille up in the top lane. So at least now Kubra knows what he's dealing with. Probably pick this next champion or feeling a little bit comfortable. And Gator, we're going to see Renekton alongside Sejuani here for Active Force.
Yeah, pretty common matchup, Renekton into Camille. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Uber may have just counterpicked himself because it's usually Camille. The Camille is picked into a Renekton.
Oh.
So it's going to be a bit of a rough one for Kubra. But with the Renekton pick, you kind of just have to pick the Sejuani to get those passive procs off. And it's going to be the Victor actually picked up on the side of Conestoga to finish this roster out. And they're definitely looking a little bit more all in this time than their last comp on the side of Conestoga as well.
Oh yeah, this comp just screams like dive in. Let's like just charge for him and hope for the best. Of course, with Skarner leading the charge, and then everybody else except maybe the Victor. But I mean, Victor isn't super slow. Can at least catch up. Doesn't not like he has any dashes or anything. But
yeah, Victor, he's more. He definitely has that attack, that movement speed. So keep up with his victims. He's one-shotting with his combos if he gets fed. But everyone's gonna have to pay that Skarner tax with the QSS. So
right, exactly.
Got to look, see who the targets are, and how they play this one out.
Yeah, throw it back into the draft again, just of course to confirm where everybody's going. But to be honest, the way that the draft came out, there isn't really anything that can flex over anywhere. So it's pretty tried and true, probably where we're expecting everybody to go. But yeah, it definitely makes sense there. Lunar Effect's going to be on the Skarner. That ultimate, of course, as long as it hasn't changed since the last time I remember, it basically traps you and he could pull you right into his team. And basically make you a free meal. Could be scary, forcing either a cleanse or a QSS, yeah.
Yeah, actually, no, they have to go QSS. Cleanse does not work on Skarner also. It's one thing that does not affect, which is suppression.
See, this is exactly why I like having commentators that have a little bit of extra knowledge in regards to the game itself. I did not realize that was an interaction. That makes sense.
Yeah, I believe it's QSS can cleanse away knockups and suppression, while QSS does everything else. Or cleanses everything else.
Gotcha. I was gonna say,
It's gonna
Frizz, come
be
on. There's no
yeah.
Kiana in this game. Let's let's get off that. You're on the Oriana this game.
You're looking a bit sad on the side of Frez wanting to play that Kiana, but sadly won't be on that today. He's gonna be on his Oriana. But the question actually will be if the Camille wants to go for that Ignite TP that's been actually going around into these matchups, or she goes for the signature Flash TP.
I've been seeing, at least in professional play, a little bit more of that Ignite TP, and to be honest, every single time somebody does that, it just gets completely bodied. So I do not understand why they keep trying to do this. It feels
It's
so
very
solo queue. It's not even funny, but it explains why it'd
yeah,
be the LCS that does it, considering it's just glorified solo queue.
yeah, very aggro based for that lane. Just want to keep the uh whoever your laner is in their kind of like little place there, getting body top, but usually it ends up being the other way because you just get camped by the jungle.
Yeah, if you get left in a 1v1, okay, sure, but any jungler who notices and has any sort of game awareness can tab over and it's like, oh, he can't escape. Why am I not up there already? And just constantly, like, over and over again, like, see it on pro play too, just dive after dive after dive, like it's nobody's business.
Hmm.
Sure, you can chain and pull yourself away over a wall, but that's still a long cooldown. And then they just wait for that and do it again.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be paying attention to this top duo, especially see how they move around the map and can impact with that Skarner and Camille.
There's just a couple more moments before we do hop into the game. Just gotta wait for the delay itself to get underway. So, another good matchup looking like here. We have a lot of, or the Saints once again, all on champions that they've either played before or have played rather frequently. I mean, we see Lazzy playing Kaisa and Miezvo and Alistar basically time and time and time again. Active Force getting Sejuani is always a comfortable situation, especially knowing that you're not completely forced to get something crazy going in the early game.
Hmm.
Kubra on Renekton is at least a little bit comfortable as well. And then Reyes has been, I mean, every mid laner that's ever played mid for more than a week, I feel like has played Oriana and knows how to play Oriana. Granted,
Hmm.
still a difficult champion, but it's just one of those like absolute mid staples. And now as we actually continue to break down the champions themselves, it looks like we actually have Zeddy back here for another round of Coach's Corner. Zeddy, you with us?
Sure.
All right, he's back. Let's take a look again. Okay, so game one ended up a little bit not one-sided, but it felt like you were in control. What is the adjustment period going into game two?
So the one thing I wanted to focus on going into game one was control. Our teams, as you mentioned in game one, we typically do a good job of controlling the early game, and we tend to struggle in the mid game. And one of the reasons that I've noticed that happens is because we have a hard time actually keeping intel on where the enemy team is and predicting their movements in towards the mid game. As you know, turrets have started to fall and objective contests become a little less clear. It's a little more up to kind of team approach to how they want to play out the mid game. So vision is really how you play yourself through that period of time, and we've struggled historically to control that vision. Game one, I don't think we executed on that point. We won game one purely due to mechanical skill. Obviously, Loy had that awesome pentakill, great clip moment. We
Absolutely.
had some good fights. Their shot calling in fight was really good, but vision was something we struggled with. So this game, kind of going into game two, that was the main point I wanted to reiterate with the guys was just get that vision down and make sure we know where they are at all times.
Okay, now looking at a couple of the matchup specific things here. Of course, a lot of the Saints, like I was mentioning before, are on some rather comfortable champions here. Now, Kubra picking the Renekton into the Camille. Matt was saying that this is a bit of a rough one actually for Renekton players, but he's picked it anyway, knowing that the Camille was picked. Any thought behind that?
In my opinion, the matchup is actually pretty Renekton favored.
Oh
Camille
yeah,
obviously has tools to get around it. You can get your shield proc, you have some sustained healing with your W. But Renekton is just really good at controlling the point at melee range, and forcing Camille into a point where she basically has to use her W in order to play the lane is really good. It's one of her longest cooldown abilities. It's a little awkward to use and pilot appropriately. It's fairly mana consuming. So if you force her into a position where she has to rely on her W to win the lane, it's actually really good for you. Renekton, of course, if you can get the level advantage and you're typically better at pushing out the lane with your Q early, if you can get the level advantage, you have a really good three-part combo that you can kind of drop into Camille, burst her out of lane, and just start to build slow and advantageous leads. The matchup gets tricky when you start to get later on into the game. So
Okay.
obviously, we're hoping to play through the lane early and enable the Renekton to do what he does in that lane so that we don't have to get to a late game scenario where Camille is obviously going to start winning that matchup.
Okay, and then do you feel, my last question for you, and then I'll throw one over to Matt actually, but then my last question, of course, so your last composition was on a timer, and he was pretty much right on the fringe of making that work. Thankfully, he's got enough of a lead that you're able to then kind of take it through towards the end. Do you feel like you're under the same kind of pressure, or as later this game goes on, you feel a little better?
Not at all. This game, there is obviously some elements of the comp that tend to fall out. So, for example, Renekton is definitely meant to be kind of your early game, like bulk, carries you through that like first 15 to 17 minutes of the game, and then he starts to get progressively less and less impactful as the game goes on. Especially with recent nerfs to Gore Drinker, he can't really be the strong frontliner that you require him to be. The Renekton pick is definitely designed to get you through that early game. Once you hit the mid game, you have a really strong combination of team fight abilities that should be able to win you most 5v5s. And the Kai'Sa Orianna are both really strong pieces in both the mid and late game. But really, this comp focuses off of the Kai'Sa. The Renekton is picked there basically as a distraction. You're basically picking him and saying, hey, look at me up top lane while I'm taking all of your towers. Meanwhile, your Kai'Sa is free farming on the bottom side of the map. And that's kind of how you get yourself through the mid game. Their comp is exactly the opposite. They have a really strong early game AD carry and then a really strong late game top lane and mid lane. So it's actually it's really going to come down to which team plays the weak side better.
Alrighty, now, unfortunately, gonna have to cut you off a little bit short here. It looks like they actually loaded into game nice and quick. So Zeddy, once again, big thank you for joining us here on Coach's Corner, and we'll see. We might see you again for game 3, or congratulations on the victory nonetheless. We'll see you momentarily, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Without further ado, let's hop into the game. That's not a game. There we go. Let's get into it. We have a death ball coming out here for Conestoga.
And it's going to be them going in again. Secret really hoping someone was in that bush with the W start, but kind of been pinched here. They're going to see if Cancel wants to walk up at all, but already used that ward. He's going to maybe get the flay over. It's going to be Mansell getting picked, but nobody's behind them. It's going to be Camille burning that hook shot. It's actually really good. They started the Camille. They actually forced Camille to start that E on Sacred, having kind of that late little engage there, which I don't think Conestoga was really expecting her to go in there. But gonna be safe little start. Mansell just taking a little back there, healing up, and everyone's gonna be back to their buffs.
All right, now, like either myself, I haven't seen him in a while, or probably a lot of the League of Legends community as well. Probably haven't seen a Skarner in a little while. So what on earth are these things in the river?
Where in the river? Wait a minute.
Or they might have disappeared, but it looks like there's like little crystals or something that he has to go collect or something like that.
So Skarner, with Skarner now, it's he gains movement speed and attack speed actually inside those. So anytime it's blue, but I think for the red side, so anytime it's red for them, it'll be activated for Skarner. So when he's in there, he gets that bonus attack speed and movement speed to help clear out his camps, but also have some kind of like more control. But it's going to be mid lane taking a lot of damage. It's also be bot lane going in, hitting that level 2 first. Mianfo going in onto LKD, getting some damage down. It's going to be Lazi also getting Sacred down to half HP. Going to be a good punish on that on Conestoga for not getting the level 2 first.
Yeah, solid little trade. Granted, nothing like life-threatening or kill-threatening in the side of St. Clair, but at least enough to kind of push them off for a second, make them a little bit uncomfortable.
Ooh.
Nice little combo for Cooper, actually catching him before he could chain away.
Yeah, a good little combo there from Cooper to get that cancel on the hook shot. Looks like Conestoga is just kind of hoping to get a little freeze here into Lazi and Miaspo. It's going to be Frez and Pain having pretty even trading mid lane. Saw Active Force in that little level 2 gank again. Didn't go in the favor of St. Clair as much as they wanted. It actually had Frez pretty low. But looks like there may be a skirmish up here. Active Force
2v2.
getting hit by that Skarner E. Frez taking a lot of damage, but Q-Pain really low on mana. He's gonna get the
They might get this.
lock here. Lunar's getting really low. Gets hit by the W, but it's actually gonna be Active Force going way too deep. It's gonna be blue buff going over to Q-Pain.
Oh.
It's gonna be a double kill for Q-Pain. Here comes the TP. Cooper is just lost in here. It's gonna be Navarra missing it, but it's gonna be the bot lane warming up for St. Clair as well. I don't think they're expecting this bot lane roam from St. Clair. Mansell running in, flashes, get the Q pulverize on 2 people. Frez picking up 1. Frez don't get stunned here. Mansell getting the lock onto Q-Pain, bringing the flash onto Q-Pain. The hook shot away from Navarra. It's gonna be Lazi getting his combo down, but does he have the enough damage? It may get away if he can get to this blast cone. Lazi's really close, but he's gonna get hit. The shutdown going over Lazi. It's huge for St. Clair, punishing this extra extension there.
Okay, that was just absolute cluster coming out there from both these teams. Like, that initial engagement was the most overextended thing I have seen in a competitive setting in a long time. Frez was below a quarter HP to the point where he would have basically got tickled and went down. But yet they still decided to take that fight. And when I seen Active Force flash in, I was definitely a little bit worried for the Saint side of things. Granted, they were at least able to take it back if the when they teleported back in to at least get themselves, I believe it was 2 kills. 1 onto Frez and then 1 onto Lazi, which is always good. And it's weird hearing shutdown at 4 minutes.
Yeah, with the new addition that Victor got both the kills, and then he got that little bounty put on him for having them. And I believe it may have only been 150 gold extra, but that huge roam from Yansel and Lazi, I don't think Conestoga had no idea they were coming. Even if bot lane duo pinged it, there was no way they would have ever expected both of them to be coming to help clean up that fight and tie the game up once again.
Considering that Lazi and Mansfo both went to do that roam and get those kills in the mid lane, they aren't really far behind in regards to CS. Like, it's Long Dawn and Sacred are both there the entire time in the bot lane. And okay, he is definitely not going to be very long for this world. Frez, 1 more shot, going to be Active Force actually who secures that one. Good thing, because I think Frez got stuck up in the stun at the last second. Almost.
Yeah.
Q-Pain almost gets out of there. But we have ourselves 1 kill going over to the board.
It really got a little bit scary there, because Active Force was tanking the entire tower and then got EQ'd by the Skarner, so he just got locked up under it. But Aftershock taking a lot of that damage for him, so he didn't lose too much of his HP, and ended up getting that kill or finisher barely with his Beast Flaps.
Oh, we could see party time bot lane here. Here comes Active Force once again. Miansfo is going to be able to pulverize LKD in the last possible second. Lazi, however, trying to get past Sacred. Sacred, the stone wall that Saints are just not able to get past at this moment. So they're going to basically trade half of their health each, but nobody going to go down. Solid defense from Sacred.
Miansfo is just on a mission this game with the Active Force to just get these kills early game. They're catching Samira mid-E there. Cancel the dash and forcing both her heal and flash, and Aurel just being the tank he is, just doesn't die early game. So, but it's gonna be Drake going over to the side of St. Clair. Bit risky there, Victor spotting the answer, but no support from the jungle or bot lane. It was looking like a dive potentially top lane. Cooper does have his ulti, but looks like they're actually gonna call it off, and Lunar is going to go invade the blue jungle.
Probably for the best. Just get the farm in the jungle while you can, especially since Cooper, when he pops that ultimate, does get a tiny little boost of health. And if you get stunned underneath the turret, it very well can turn against you nice and quick. So probably wise to just go, maybe even take a blue buff on the side of the Saints. Good job there from Lunar.
Yeah, I believe he's gonna get a. Actually, it's just gonna be.
Oh, they're just gonna trade.
The exact same thing. Yeah, the Active Force is gonna take the entire blue jungle from. Actually, no. Oh, never mind. He was thinking about backing there. On the side, Active Force was going to just skip out on both Grumpy and Wolves, which would have been very devastating because Lunar took the entire blue jungle from him. But he's gonna actually he did. Yeah, he may have left one wolf there, but he's gonna miss out on Gromp. And it's gonna be a gank down top lane. Cooper stuck inside the ultimatum. Here comes Lunar. I think he's a bit too late there. It's gonna be just Cooper burning the ulti.
I guess that's always been Skarner's downfall, right? The only way he can engage is to literally just pop his shield and dash at you. Which, I mean, you can't exactly go through walls or anything like that. So it's going to take you some time, even if you do have the movement speed boost. Even with his extra little crystals in the river, too. So by the time that engagement up in the top lane happened, Cooper was already like down to a quarter, but was able to walk away just fine since Evra already used everything he had in the tank. So unfortunate, you definitely need some interesting positioning to make Skarner work nowadays. Finding flanks, making things a little bit messy right off the start, not necessarily just charging on in. You could try, but it's definitely difficult. And now, Saints looking at a Rift Herald to boost this game back into a tied state.
Yeah, they're gonna punish the Skarner for showing up top lane there. He's gonna get that little CS lead over Active Force and have a little more XP. But we're gonna pick up the Herald and look at top lane here. Active Force pinging down, he's coming. But I don't think they're going to attempt a dive here. Unless the wave pushes out a bit more. Navarra's getting a bit greedy. Mianso roaming up here too. They're spotting at the control board. Gonna be spotted out by Navarra there. Getting a good hook shot over the wall.
And good move there, but of course with Mianso here, ready to party. Are they going to try it again anyway? Nevra should definitely be aware that Mianso is still probably hanging around, and we do see kind of already halfway down the lane just in case he needs to run for the hills. Saints are going to give themselves a couple plates for their trouble. Get some gold.
It's going to be first tower going down here. That's way below half HP, and it's going to be first tower going down top lane here. 10 minutes in the game again.
Yep. Nice extra little hit from Shelly. Definitely going to help move that along, but now bot lane needs to be a little bit careful. Lunar Effect has made the trip down and looking to try and basically answer turret for turret here with the Saints.
That's really nice for them. They got two charges out there, but they're going to bring the Frez TP down here. Looking for that engage. They're going to get a TP on. Frez getting caught up. Two-man shockwave. And it's going to be Sacred going down to the tower. Q-Pain getting the kill. And Samir just diving in, doing so much damage to everyone. Lunar barely exceeding his life. And it's going to be a 3-for-0 on the side of Conestoga.
Oh goodness, Q-Pain teleports in and has all day to make that ultimate work. And Active Force is a little bit late to the party, but this is going to be a little bit rough.
No.
Where in the world is this going? Unfortunate plays happening there. He was trying to snipe off Lunar, and Lunar is not going to let that happen. Flashes away, and we gift wrap another kill. That's kill number 4, I believe, in that engagement. Only one not to go down there was Kubra because he was in a different lane. And then a tower as well. A massive power play here from Conestoga College.
Yeah, it's like one of those moments of what are you doing there? You see these 4 members and the tower's gone, but you're really greeting hard for just that 1 kill on Skarner. But I don't think it doesn't really make a difference if you get him or not.
So, like, is the 1-for-1 trade really worth it there? I really don't think so. And now,
yeah, I don't think it's that big for them because now they have a 2-0 Samira, and they just gave that Victor 2 kills as well.
Yeah, of all characters or all players you want to not give that offer to, that is definitely brutal for St. Clair as we look for the next dragon. It's about to spawn in another 5 seconds, but we're going to see Sacred and the rest of the Conestoga squad try to catch Saints out of commission. That was a good shockwave there from Frez. He's getting a ton of AoE damage, actually, constantly hitting 3 or 4 members. Kubra is going to absolutely beeline it right onto LKD, and he's going to get the shutdown onto him. Gotta watch out, though, for Q-Pain was on the the south of this fight. He might be able to actually pick down Mienzo and is going to successfully be able to do so. Does trade it back. Now that Never's here, they're going to try and turn this around. Lassie is in a decent position to try and kite, but he does end up getting caught, it looks like. It's taken down. I believe that was the Skarner ultimate catching him, and does end up going down. Cooper going to find himself one more. Can they keep this going? They do have the speed boost from the dissonance from Oriana, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to focus now towards the dragon after a 2 for 2, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it may have been. It was a. I think it was a 3 for 2 on the side of St. Clair. They got the really good dive on Samira there.
Right.
But that re-engage from Conestoga with the Rel ulti, dragging everyone into the middle, just devastating, and eventually did kill off Lazi, who was having a really good team fight, keeping the damage there.
Yeah, when you're that close, then finally having that little bit of burst of speed was absolutely clutch. Did Sacred just steal that?
He almost did. He was just barely short of it.
Almost got it. Lunar multitasking. Get the Gromp, but you can also get the blue buff. Of course.
Yeah, it's one of the little buffs to Skarner you can do now with Spires.
And of course, Skarner has always been mana hungry, so you probably won't see Victor get himself a blue buff until probably like a little bit later into this mid-game phase. Probably closer to that 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Oh, got him!
Is
that going to cost him, though?
I think they actually may turn this on to Active Force. Gonna get away. It's unfortunate for Active Force not being able to get the smite down. They both did have smite, but I don't think he was expecting have to burn it there. That little chem tank from Lunar catching up and getting a smite down.
Well, I guess that's the thing too. Like, of course, I was mentioning before, like just running at people can be a little bit difficult for Skarner. But you've got some help now with a couple of new items to maybe promote a little bit more of a consistent playstyle, of course, with that chem tank.
And one thing I would like to point out is that when they did do that cross vertical jungling on that second blue buff, Active Force did lose out on the XP and gold by not taking both Romp and Wolves there. He only took the blue buff, so Lunar got that extra gold and XP over Active Force, got his item before him, and in pretty good position, the Skarner.
And it's a smite advantage, too.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense here, and Saints were definitely hurting after that one fight went absolutely out of their favor. But with Rift Herald now in the river once again, we'll probably see the Saints look to take care of it. But at this time, it does appear that Conestoga College are on to Saints this time by. Completely aware of what's going on. They have wards in position. They know that this is where they want to go. But will they get there in time? Lunar Effect is basically in the base as of this moment. You hardly ever actually see a Rift Herald cause a fight, but it very well might be the case here. Q-Pain was thinking about it, but actually, nope, they're just going to end up passing us over. Lunar going to turn his tail and run. Saints take it, no problem.
Yeah, St. Clair getting a really good Herald. They were looking to contest it, but they just didn't have that way into the hit there, so just kind of getting cornered in the choke point of between red buff, so couldn't get really anywhere with it. It's gonna be second Herald going over, and on top of that, the two drags that St. Clair's got themselves.
2K in the bank here against Saints as we get ready for a dragon in 2 minutes. Infernal Drake ready to find its home back in its nest in the river. But in the meantime, everyone's just going to basically farm up here for the Saints side of things. Vision around the dragon. The only thing right now is that Scuttle Crab towards side of Conestoga. And Lunar's just been doing his damnedest to just clear out as much of the Saints' warding as possible, even if it doesn't necessarily affect the next objective in play. And we've seen how like Vision is just an absolute staple in League of Legends. You can basically set up everything you want to do. Just having that extra intel is just night and day. But if we do end up having ourselves a 5-on-5 here, what do you think is going to happen?
You know, I said last time St. Clair may win, and then Conestoga put my words back in my mouth, but I think honestly, the side of Conestoga does have an actually stronger team fight if they do get this Samira to her 5 stacks and get her to the S rating, because she'll just shred through the entire team. Um, the Scar at this point, Skarner and Camille are becoming a bit of a problem. You can see that they both have their flashes up, and Fozzie has not paid his QSS tax yet, so he could just easily get Camille flashy and ulted onto, and then followed up by a Skarner ulti, and he's just dead, and they kind of just lose the fight from there. Frez can't do anything on top of it.
And Lousy just cannot frontline. Even if he's in the back line, he's still not safe. And actually, this is a bit of a weird pickle here for the Saints. That should be Frez trying to push him aside. Actiforce going to charge on in. Here comes the Lunar Effect. He's looking for Lousy. They do knock him up. There was a no, that wasn't a shock, but we do see a ton of damage coming out across all of the Conestoga squad. Mienso trying to lead the charge here with Kubra. Kubra going to find one. They take down the Samira, so that's one thing in the tank. There's going to be a double now for Kubra. Is Lassie still in here? He's hanging on by a thread, and it's going to be a triple going over to Kubra. Nevra is barely going to stay alive until Actiforce says no. Lassie going to heal back up. A huge ace for St. Clair at the 19-minute mark. He's going to pick up this dragon, and now they've basically been uncontested here for these dragons. So Dragon Soul Point is right around the corner.
I'm honestly speechless. I'm sitting here with my mouth open. I don't even understand what just happened. That Conestoga had such a good engage. They had that Rel ulti over the wall, pulled Lozi in. X-Tech ultimatum onto Frez on the side there, so Frez just goes down 1v1 to the Camille, and then Lunar gets the hit onto ulti onto Lozi, but he gets away with 1 HP somehow. I honestly don't understand how they won that.
We call this commentator's curse. Welcome.
Yeah.
It's funny how it always ends up happening this way, but it definitely is. And that Gator is fed. 6 kills, 2 assists, no deaths right now onto Kubra, making this Renekton work for him so far. And I'm looking at Frez, like, sure, he's 1 kill, 3 deaths, but he's got so many assists. He's there with the speed boost, he's there with the disruption, he's there with the shields, and still putting out a lot of AoE damage as well. And then, yeah, how the heck did Lazi survive so long in that fight is beyond me. Yeah, he was sitting there like 1 tap ready to go down, but he kept himself alive. And then Miensfo was just constantly either leading the charge or trying to peel with Actiforce. It was good to see, even though that looked like an optimal engage from the side of Conestoga, that Saints were still able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's something. It's a mystery, honestly, of how, you wish you had one of those LCS replays of team fights before, and to see how he somehow got away. I feel like it may have just been he got out of the ulti and just insta flash ulted to Samira, who was at the farthest side getting jumped on by Kubra and Actiforce. So it may have been that he barely got away because there wasn't enough damage with Samira off the side being cornered. But it's looking like Kubra may be too far up here. Having to burn the ulti and 1v1ing Camille now, doing a lot of damage, but they're gonna burn the ulti, both ultis actually, Camille and Skarner ulti, am I listening? It's gonna be Kubra trying to go drink, but it's gonna be Baron actually just gone again.
This is twice that we're going to see this here for St. Clair. Once the aggressive kill, sure, you got a shutdown onto Kubra. That's fantastic. But now you have to worry about the Baron going down once again. And Saint's going to slide that out from underneath Conestoga's nose as well. Now, all buffed up, good to go. Sure, Kubra doesn't have it, but everybody else does. You do not want to fight the St. Clair squad right now.
That's good. It's 2 games in a row that Conestoga has committed every single player to this bot lane for Kubra, and then loses Baron off it. They do have the vision around it. They had mid pushed, but then they just lose the vision there, and they know that everyone's up in that top side. So they still commit this Skarner and Camille down bot lane, and it just gives St. Clair that green light to go on the Baron. They see the jungler, there's no smite, there's no way they lose this Baron. It's just gonna be 2 times now. They just lose this early game Baron, which snowballs them into that gold lead.
Yeah, the Saints have the gold lead, and there's nice headbutt. Mansfeld going to stop Sacred from moving forward, shutting that down and taking the mid turret. But yeah, Saints basically with the gold lead right now and only a couple towers down. Sacred really trying to force this alongside Q-Pain. They're finally going to get it. Ultimate comes down from Sacred, going to drag a few of them ahead, but still a lot of AoE damage coming on to some of the members of Conestoga. Mansfeld going to fall, but at the same time, this one's actually not looking so bad right now for Conestoga if they can keep themselves alive. Not going to be the case, though. Lassie is still A-OK in this fight. Charges on him with the ultimate. And now, looks like Force didn't quite get the memo. Thought that they were going to go turn onto the other two. And we're going right underneath the turret to take care of that. And we have ourselves a 3v3, completely even, which, to be honest, for Conestoga, absolute profit. Death Bush, it's going to be Kubra going to get the jump onto him with Lazi. Shut down, goes over to Lazi, getting him jump started as well. Lunar going to be the last one alive. And at least Saints were able to get that final kill to put them positive in that fight. But given that they had the Baron buff and everything, that was actually stupid close.
Yeah, it was really looking good for Conestoga again with this Sacred on this Rel, just really doing the work for Conestoga, keeping I believe it was Lazi and Prez in the center there, engaging, but Manso being able to peel them off and keep them alive for them for a time being, and then having to lose Frez's life, but pretty close fight, and Clair having complete control of this river for no reason.
Sole point.
Conestoga had complete control and just gave it to St. Clair. The Rel going in, starting being kept away.
Beautiful.
Full point. That's going to be Mansell keeping them out. That's going to be Frez getting a shockwave onto two people. Camille going in on the back. Frez getting a double kill. Mansell taking everything for Lazi. It's going to be triple kill actually for Frez. We're going down to the Renekton, but trading it with Lazi. It's going to be the long flash for Samira, getting away just barely. 4-for-1 on the side of Sinclair.
Mansfo MVP for that team fight around the dragon. Just absolutely punting away Lunar, stopping any sort of hope of Conestoga stopping the fourth dragon going into the pocket of St. Clair. Now you can see those orange circles around them, all buffed up. If I do recall, that's like a damage boost in regards to that Dragon Soul. And they can keep pushing this here. LKD nearly going to go down. Lazi just going to dive on in, try to make something happen here. But Lunar is actually back here trying to keep everybody alive. Active Force, one shot away. Lazi going to try and turn this. Not going to happen. Never is here, and it's going face-to-face here with Lazi. Lazi's not going to be long for this world. Some good damage coming out from Frez to at least allow them to get one. Then spin the win here for LKD to finish that off and turn that into a triple. Nicely done there from Conestoga to at least stop the bleeding a little bit before that inhibitor went down.
Yeah, thankfully took that inhib tower, but I believe they greeded a bit more than they need to for the inhib. Trying to fight them in their base, hoping they could just end it right there, but underestimate how much damage and how many ultis they were missing. Just kind of losing in the fight and losing a lot of big shutdowns over to that Samir and Victor.
It just seems like all or nothing here for LKD. He either gets like a triple kill or he gets absolutely nothing in these team fights off of those ultimates specifically. And hopefully for the side of Conestoga can find him in a decent position. It seems like time and time again they're just getting caught up. It's probably by a mixture of Mansfo and then Frez with the shockwave right after the fact. Basically just popping LKD time and time again. But when LKD is left alone to thrive, it is definitely a bad time. 1 minute left on the clock here for Baron to return. And if it's a St. Clair Baron power play with a Dragon Soul, that is going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, and Lunar getting in this push here. Frez may just face tank him, looking like he's going to. Push of Bin Lane. It's going to be Lunar finding Frez here, pulling him onto the gravitational field. But it's going to be Frez doing so much damage to Q-Pain, getting out alive. It's going to be a plunder from Lunar there, just finding the wrong thing. It's going to be
Oh, they're going for it.
Further. He's able to kite it out. It's going to be Actiforce going down here. Lazi actually coming in and saving his life, not even using the heal on him. It's going to be just a cleanup for St. Clair. That's probably going to be another Baron on the side of them unless they want to go end the game.
We could very well give this a try. We're going to see where they end up pinging here. It looks like Baron is going to be on the menu instead, but holy smokes. Like, they focused on to Frez like pretty hard. Then Saints went to go try and turn that one around. It looked so slow. I thought it wasn't going to end up happening, but as soon as Lassie and Miatsville popped up out of nowhere alongside, I believe it was the ultimate out of active force, that just completely turned around. Then Miatsville finds himself, I think, a 3-player pulverize to just shut that fight down. Baron's going to go over, and I like this little split. They get themselves a Baron and an inhibitor turret.
Yeah, it was just really not good communication between Lunar and Q-Pain, because Lunar dragged him over top of the gravitational field, but just went too far over and actually dragged Frez further away from it. So he wasn't able to get the stun down. Lazi was able to get not Lazi. Frez was able to get that massive shockwave and almost one-shot Q-Pain, and it just turned into this really bad fight for Conestoga, which then turned into a good fight for St. Clair, and then bad again. But Lazi saving Active Force's life just barely by getting a kill and triggering that triumph.
It was crazy how I was just saying, like, Frez did not seem to have that much kills. He was doing okay damage, but wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot. Finds himself a triple, and now he's nearly one-shotting his opponent mid laner, who isn't doing too shabby himself either with 5 kills and 7 assists, but it's definitely quite the difference compared to 4 kills and 17 assists coming out here from Frez.
An interesting, Lazi actually opted to go for, I believe it's called a Silver Dawn instead of that Mercurials. So a Silver Mirror, close enough. But he opted to go for it over Mercurials, so definitely interesting buy. Most likely for that extra health in MR.
I mean, I guess if there's anything that's going to happen, he's probably going to get one shot by Q-Pain, so we'll have to see. Hang on to that thoughts here as Frez gets caught out, but again, he's going to turn that into a free shockwave, with Sacred going to be the first casualty. The tank line is dead for Conestoga College. Q-Pain running for the hills alongside LKD. He's trying to deter them the best as possible, but best bodyguard NA, Miatsville, as well as Kubra, just keeping everything all tanked. Active Force leading the charge here as well. You have such a solid tank line for St. Clair that they can just plow through this entire base.
Yeah, probably just going to be game over here for Conestoga. Baron's still up on side St. Clair. Rivera just playing a game of one shot along with Long Kai. That's going to be a 2-0 for St. Clair. 50 kills in 30 minutes.
Holy moly, what a bloodbath. We switch it back on over to us here. An absolute bloodbath for game number 2. St. Clair looking much more dominant, actually, compared to game number 1, where, sure, they had the lead, but that probably could have swung over to the side of Conestoga at any point. This time, it did not quite feel like that. There were some moments of brilliance there for Conestoga, a couple opportunities for LKD to pop off with a couple of Smear ultimates, some solid engages too, but something down the line, like, they have a fantastic start of the team fight, but then something just broke right in the middle of the team fight to the point where they could just either not find the targets that they were like needing to prioritize, maybe a little bit too much spread damage, or like, I don't know, to be honest. Just something was shutting them down. Maybe Mansfield is doing a ton of AoE crowd control or what. There's a few times where that was definitely the case, but there should have been more kills in the favor of Conestoga than there were at the end of this one.
Yeah, Conestoga, they had a really good proposition to attack onto St. Clair. They had this Skarner and Camille to get on top of Lazi. They had about 20 minutes to punish him for not buying QSS in the early game, but it just seemed like Sacred and Q-Pain just really had this. They're really just a team for Conestoga. They could go in, find these massive ultis onto their 2 carries, and they would follow it up, but they just didn't have the uh, damage output because the Samir is always getting jumped on. They sent both their tanks in to kill the carry for St. Clair and Lazi, but then they would leave their own carry to just get mauled by Renekton and Sejuani.
That sounds like the solo queue ranked staple. My tanks dove in. Somebody peel for me, please. Like, it felt like that was definitely the case where the damage just
An
eventually
80
kind of got cut
carry.
off. That life of the 80 carry, indeed. And then there was even a few times they get a fantastic. Frez got engaged on hard twice and somehow was able to then just leave the ball on top of him, pop the shockwave, and get two members like bursted down. And sometimes
Mhm.
it wasn't just a tank line either. Like we saw up in the top lane there, nearly popping Q Pain just by himself. Yet alone when he actually had backup, especially at that fight down bottom. Same thing, right by the inhibitor turret area.
Mhm.
Got jumped on. Another solid shockwave. This time there was reinforcements, and that was one of the fights that helped clean up the ending there for that matchup. And even though he may not be shining in regards to kills, he was definitely a part of so many of those plays. Out of the 30
Mhm.
kills that St. Clair had in that game, Rez was a part of 26 of them, which is
I think
absolutely absurd.
3 kills to his name as well.
Say it again, sorry.
I believe he had 3 kills as
Yeah, he
well.
did end up with four of the kills there in that one as well. And then big props, of course, to pretty much everybody was involved with everything. Now that I think about this, Lassie has 24 kill or 24 involvement points, so kills or assists. I'll just say in this case, Ansel 26 as well. Active Force was a part of 24 of them. When Kubra is the lowest in regards to kill participation at 20 out of 30 kills, it just seemed like the Saints were always just deathballing each other or deathballing Conestoga to the point where they just couldn't make it work.
Mhm. It was definitely, it seemed like a bit of miscommunication from the side of Conestoga. They had a clear vision of what they wanted, but they couldn't execute it how they wanted it to. They had this Garner and Victor that easily comboed and stun locked them forever, but he just never could get this target on top of the gravitational field and be able to execute it.
I remember you specifically talking about the one up top where,
Mhm.
yeah, um, Frez was stuck. He's inside the Skarner ultimate, can't go anywhere, but he pulled it right past the stun. That stun was sitting there for a good second. Like, of course, it's second, so it sounds like a lot, but in the heat of a battle, that feels like forever.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, if it is just a matter of execution, to be honest, Conestoga, they still had a solid showing. And when the fact that we get to see him again very soon, more than likely, here in some Collegiate League of Legends playoff action, this is something that they can definitely just go back to the drawing board and try and knock out in a couple practices. A little bit of extra communication, a little bit of extra just muscle memory, even of
Mhm.
that kind of situation. And if they can try this again, but with a little bit of extra practice, they would definitely have a couple extra kills on the board, which could have definitely turn this game.
Yeah, if we do go against them again in those playoffs, it's gonna be a bloody series again.
Hmm.
A lot of back and forth kills, but hopefully they can go back into the that drawing board, figure out those little parts that they couldn't master properly, and improve on them and come back swinging.
Absolutely. Well, with that, is there any final thoughts in regards to this matchup?
I think thankfully they played really well. They had those. They really played those early objectives pretty good. I don't think Conestoga got any early game towers or objectives except for one ocean dragon in game one
Mm-hmm.
between that 5 minute marker and 15. So I think they're really controlling this early game. Then they have those little uh, icky moments in the middle of the game where they throw it away to the other side, but come back with good macros on Barons.
Yeah, there was that one fight there where it was, I think it was Saints had four go down and like maybe one on the side of Conestoga where
Mhm.
it's like, oh no, I feel like I've seen this before. But at least it then didn't happen again and again and
Mhm.
again. They nipped it in the butt. They just moved on. They did exactly what they needed to do. And Saints, while not perfect, but of course, I don't have to be perfect to be in the W slot at the end of the day. But with that, of course, a couple thank yous do need to come on out. First off, of course, our sponsors. Big thank you to St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, to St. Clair SRC and St. Clair Alumni Association, EC Outlet, and the Zeckelman School of Business and Information Technology for sponsoring us here on the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team and making the team, making the productions, making everything possible thanks to their support. Big thank you to Matt Avery once again for joining us here on the commentary booth. Could have ourselves a busy weekend as long as you're available. It's going to get crazy. I'll go over the schedule in a moment. But again, big thank you for coming on once again.
Glad to be here.
And of course, big thank you to everybody for tuning in to the matchup, supporting your Saints or supporting the side of Conestoga as well. Of course, sure, this is a hometown squad or hometown stream here for St. Clair College. But at the same time, if you're here from Conestoga, big thank you for supporting your team, your friends, your family members, classmates, or just the team itself. Big thank you there. But now, let's take a look at the matchups coming up later on this week, because there are many. Friday, 9 p.m., the season opener for the Collegiate R6 winter season. Saturday, we have our usual doubleheader of CLOL League of Legends, starting at 3. Then at 7, we have the R6 Collegiate Championships. Then Sunday at 5, we return with some Counter-Strike basic CSGO contenders. And then on Monday, we're back here with League once again, taking on the amateur scene in the Upsurge minor leagues, as the Saints continue to be undefeated there, sitting 4-0, leading the group by a long shot and looking good. And that is just the start of the matches that we do have coming up, because, like I was saying in other broadcasts, that this is basically what I call chaos season, where there is one match basically every single day for our teams, which usually means, unless the league or the unless the league is unless the league actually takes a stream for themselves or something like that, we basically have a stream here on the Saints Gaming CA channel every single day. So make sure you're followed to our Twitch as well as our Twitter to make sure you know which match is coming up next. But with that, I think we're just about good here for tonight. Saints going to take this in 2-0 fashion over Conestoga, and game 1, of course, a little bit back and forth. Game 2, not so much, but it's still a good one, especially with the playoffs right around the corner. And of course, with that, again, I'm just rambling at this point. We're going to close out here. Big thank you for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow for some Collegiate R6.